Hello. Welcome to the new world. Don't be afraid. I'll take care of you.
Let's get our thinking caps on, that is a Stranger Things reference, and enjoy a cognitive mooch as we ponder our big question of the day. Where is digital heading for artists, citizens, freedom, and our collective future? Let me introduce our guests. Right at the end, we have Aaron Bowman. Aaron is a freelance creative producer for No More Nout and also works under the moniker of SideQuest, where he heads up many brilliant community-centric projects that equally challenge and bring joy to audiences. Guest 2 is Petra Szemán. Petra is a moving image artist working internationally with animation and game-like landscapes. Their practice focuses on the murky borderlands along the lines that separate the real and the fictional. Guest number 3 is David Blandy. David is an artist working internationally, examining global structures of control and networks of resistance in areas as diverse as ecology, history, science, and arenas of play. He makes videos, games, sound, and ephemera, deconstructing forms and meaning in cultural life and putting them back together again. Guest 4 is Meg McWilliam. Meg is a recent grad, already making waves as an artist and designer from County Durham. She's also the founder of the sensational Raj magazine, a magazine for Rajis by Rajis, which I love that tagline. She creates work that amplifies the underrepresented perspective of growing up as a working class woman in the Northeast, in a world increasingly rife with inequality and injustice. And last but not least, we have Beth J. Ross. Beth is an artist whose work explores memory, both personal and collective, alongside themes of time, emotion, and place. Through a feminist lens, she navigates the invisible traces we leave behind and how they resonate through our shared realities. Welcome. So, to the questions. To all 5 guests, and this is a bit of a what the hell is going on kind of question to kick off. And it is, as you sit here today in the first week of 2026 with so much going on in the world, in society and with technology, where do you think digital is heading for artists and as all as citizens? I appreciate that's a big question, but I've asked it anyway, and I think I will ask David to respond to that first.
Okay, thank you, Stephen.
You're welcome.
Where is it going? Well, and for me at the moment, the digital space is much defined by the online. And the online is incredibly siloed. So it has lots of different spaces within it, with lots of different groups and groups of people's aligned interests that exist in completely different spaces. Like what's happened to Twitter, X, it's kind of gone from kind of an open space that had its conflicts and had its problems, but has now been completely co-opted by the far right. And latest controversies around Grok, etc. It's just, it's turned into an utter hellhole. A kind of whole phalanx of people moved to Blue Sky. That's a kind of another space but still don't treat it like the Twitter of old. And most of the interesting discussions that I see happen outside in places like Discord, in kind of more slightly closed environments. And I can see, and Discord has just announced that it's going to become like a public company. So it's quite likely that is going to dissipate as a space as well. So, I mean, we've seen over the course of our digital lives over the last 15, 20 years, kind of spaces open up, flourish, like communities come together, form kind of certain identifications, and then those spaces kind of implode. I'm just thinking of spaces like Google Plus or Facebook as it was originally, and then MySpace even. All of these spaces were places that people would come together, but then kind of they become defunct or kind of degraded, or like normally, it's that process of institutification where stuff just, people try to make money out of the fact that people are congregating in this place and basically destroy the place that they're working in. So I can see this process kind of just, as users, artists are just users like anyone else. We find it as a place to both as a place of inspiration, like we're seeing how things work, but also as a place to actually meet people. Like Petra and I kind of got to know each other better through Instagram, even.
Yeah, basically.
Which is kind of mad. Like, and then that becomes like a thing in real life, and then kind of we don't need Instagram anymore. This is great. So it's sort of, it serves a purpose, the digital, but it's never the end game. It's always like, it's a process to kind of find the people that you want to find, and it's only ever going to be now. And we can't think that anything's forever. And yeah, digital it's complicated. It's just like making work with digital. I'm having to, relearn every single project. I learn new programs. That's just that's the process. That's working with digital stuff. You can't kind of rely on it like kind of a photographer working with 35mm or something could have had that practice for like 30, 40 years. You can't, that just won't work with digital because the paradigms just change all the time. So yeah, essentially I'm saying digital is just us. and we have to change and evolve as it changes and kind of react to it because we're not in control of it. So yeah.
I'd also pose that to you, Meg, as a new grad, or relatively recent. What would your response?
I have quite like a nuanced approach to it because I can appreciate the good things that come from like the digital. Obviously, all of my artwork's done digitally, and that is like amazing. But like David said, it's the process. And I think once you get out of that process, say your art's done, you've done that process, then you've got to deal with another digital platform like Instagram or socials. It can be very easy to like get wrapped up in that and kind of feel a bit bogged down, like you've posted something, it's not got that many likes. But why as an artist am I like bothered about likes? But I think it's because nowadays a lot of artist portfolios are just the Instagram, and they don't really necessarily have a website or like get exhibited in galleries because they've got that space on Instagram. So I think it does get quite like disheartening sometimes if the algorithm works against us, and it shouldn't feel like that because like why would I care what if Mark Zuckerberg was in front of me right now and told me he didn't like my artwork? I wouldn't care because it's not for him. So why am I bothered that like Meta's not pushing it? But like even like obviously a lot of my work is inspired by like social political issues. What's going on now with like X and Grok is still kind of like inspiring my art. So it's kind of like this like toxic circle of like, I hate Instagram. Oh, I'm going to do some artwork inspired by how much I hate Instagram. And it's just like, and then post it on Instagram. It's just this big cycle of like, just like it is meta. Like, but I do think like, as David said, like, it seems like communities flourish like in small groups on these social platforms and then just implode. So it's like, it's kind of just like you've got to continually like just roll with the punches at this point, if you get me. Like there's always going to be a new update, and then you're going to have to learn that update, and then you're going to have to get to grips. Like once you've got to grips with that, then there's another update. So it's just like one big circle of, can I swear?
Yeah.
Shit.
We can always just edit it out.
Just put a
But yeah, I guess it's always always new, always now, always being sold off if it's popular as a platform.
Yeah.
Very romantic thinking that you could be a 35mm photographer for life, and then that's your absolute,
But then what if they discontinue the film that you've used for your entire practice?
Exactly, we have this. Aaron, what do you think about
Remind
that?
me of the question again.
So the question is basically, where do you think digital's heading for artists, citizens, freedom, and our collective future?
What do you think of freedom?
I am big. I am gonna stay away from artists and talk about citizens because I feel like we're all part of this big experiment. Particularly because of AI and the sort of the encouragement to. It's gonna save. Just this morning I was on Hartlepool, so I live in Hartlepool, everyone. This morning it was. We're going to get 1,000 jobs and it's £1 billion of investment, and it's just a data centre to power some future AI thing. And I feel like we're sort of part of the experiment in that the politicians, the people in power, when they talk about AI, I'm not fully convinced that they really know what AI could actually do. Like the sort of the end game for AI. I mean, head of ChatGPT or OpenAI has said AI will destroy the world, and it's like now he is a billionaire potentially, and it's like, well, hold on, we're raising it up to be this thing, this big solver, but actually, do we know what the sort of repercussions are? And I'm talking about wider than just using water to cool it down. Well, I think that's a big issue. I think actually it's a harder sell to communities that we might work with than say, I don't know, this one person has taken all of your money. Yeah, so I don't know where we're going to with AI, because I feel like even the people in charge don't have a full grasp on where we're going.
Can digital be a place? I know Petra's touched upon this previously downstairs, and if so, how do we bring everybody along for it?
I wanted to say, I think, also kind of relating to the previous question, I have this online friend from Discord who I've never met in real life, called an artist called Honor Ash, and they talk about, you know, technology a lot, and like the internet as a place, and like, the digital as a place, and they liken platforms like Twitter to like, the idea is that you like tweet something, and then like it can be seen by literally anyone on that platform. And that's, if you think about that too hard, that's just like, that was never meant to be. Like, it's like you go into this field and the field goes on forever, and that's the place. Like, that's not functional as a place. Whereas like, they like to think of like internet platforms that we should build as like a community, or like smaller groups within platforms as like little valleys that you live in with a community of people. And then you kind of know each other, and then you're tied to that place by being in there. If it's a forum on the internet, it can be organized around a certain topic, like people who love, I don't know, collecting special stones or standing stones, hiking, and then like that's your place, you know what ties us together, and then you can't really see behind the mountains, but you know that there's other pockets or valleys there. And I think I like to think of this valley system when I think of the digital. Like, I think it's like we can bring everyone into the digital. Maybe I'm a bit naive in this, but I think like not everyone should be in the same place, because I don't know, I think that's kind of impossible. Like, even in real life we have our different circles, and I kind of feel like the digital sort of maps into this, but also it can be a very good third place while we're losing our physical third places because of capitalism. So I do remain hopeful events like Connecting Towers. And also I know I was born in 94, so I wasn't like a full-on internet child, but I got an internet access properly when I was like 12 or something, and I immediately went onto like a Hungarian proto-Facebook website to go on the forums about this illegal like anime I was watching illegally on YouTube called Naruto, and then there was like role-playing forums, and then I made loads of friends there, and then I got into fan fiction, and I still have friends I made on the internet through these fanfiction forums. And then like those communities became like the ways where I started to, you know, realize things about life and queerness and like being neurodivergent and not quite fitting into other communities. So I think they can be really good alternative spaces for people who find it really hard to fit with their real life circles. So I think that's sort of my answer.
Yeah, I don't think it's a utopian space.
No, I was groomed on those forums. I was groomed by old men. So, but at the same time, like, they were really beautiful places, and there were very good experiences there. But they're also, it's not a utopia.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, because there is a real, like, there's a potentially egalitarian sense to an internet space. Like, anyone can create an account, anyone can kind of, you know, have their say in this space, but it only remains that for such a kind of like until you actually interact with that space and you kind of understand that you're part of a much wider conversation of which like you can become completely bogged down in that space. But I mean, I think, yeah, it is a space that is kind of, I think it's more open in a way than like art galleries or something. I think it's less sort of culturally constructed. Like, I often think with projects that you kind of have to meet people where they're at. Like, if the people that you're looking to kind of connect with are on Facebook, then you kind of have to go on Facebook, because that's where they are. You're not going to persuade them to come to other fora to kind of, you kind of have to deal with where they live, rather than trying to force other possibilities on them. And in that way, I don't know whether you can kind of, I think it's very hard to change behaviours through an art project, is what I think. I think it's possible to create kind of spaces in which ideas can become open, but it doesn't mean that they're kind of instantly going to become like into the thing that you're into. I don't know if that answers your question in any way, but there you go.
It kind of does. Beth, you've been working with older members of communities. They are on Facebook. They are not on TikTok. How have you found? Do you think those sorts of people would think of just think about platforms and going to where people are? Do you think the sort of people that you were talking to in your bingo project, do you think that those will feel like Facebook is a place for them? What does their place look like? Do you think they spend a lot of time there?
I don't. Yeah, I mean, it was a very superficial snapshot, but taking that kind of snapshot of who was using those platforms, I think it probably does feel like a place. And I think I'm still, my journey through the internet was kind of like Friends Reunited started, where you suddenly got in touch with all these people that you went to school with, and then it moved into Facebook, and then in the heady days of kind of Facebook, people who were on the other side of the world, you kind of go, oh, that's where they live and that's what their children look like, and you had all those kind of connections. But I think in those kind of like little, as I say, those kind of hyper localized Facebook spaces and groups, yeah, I think if you live on your own, or you're perhaps not able to go out as much, or you don't have the bingo hall or the community centre that you used to go to, or you don't have a shop in your village anymore, or a pub, then I'd imagine Facebook probably does take on a place that you can visit and speak to people and share your memories.